Satisfying finish, I guess, Matthew, to through the season that started well and finished well. The bookends were okay. Today you look pretty good, pretty sharp.
Yeah, really pleasing way to finish the season off. Especially that last 15 minutes, it was, nice to see the guys. I thought they played well the entire game, but I thought in the last quarter they got back to what we've been doing really well this year in patches, and then off the back of that we had some real good feel good moments for a couple of guys, a couple of legends of the club who were finishing up, and for one debutant, all in the one quarter. So it was. I think the GPS will be up in that last quarter because we had players running from every part of the ground, getting over to celebrate, which was pleasing.
So, Matthew, now that the season's over, what do you reckon you've locked in to be part of your DNA now?
Well, we love to compete. We love to fight. That's one thing we finished really strongly with against really good opposition. This week we played North Melbourne, they've been playing great footy in the second half of the year. So we were really pleased to get the result we did. But the weeks prior to that, we played some really strong football in patches, as I said. And push those sides. We didn't get the result in the end, and that's probably been the trend throughout the year. Is we played enough good footy to feel like we're, the foundations are being laid for a really positive future. At the same time, we're frustrated because we're not able to do that for 4 quarters and get the ultimate result, which is winning those games of footy. But the DNA was there tonight. The foundation of hard at the footy, embracing the contest, playing in your front half, really pleasing for us to do that. Unfortunately, tonight we let ourselves down in front of goal and kicked 20-odd points, which takes a bit of shine off it.
So when you look at where you were this time last year, where's the real improvement in your mind?
Well, the improvement comes with time, guys. The improvement of, we're 12 months down the track and we're seeing what time can do for young footballers. So Chase Jones, and it's hard for me to go through too many, but I'll go through a number of individuals. Chase Jones at halfback. 12 months of football, finding his niche, finding the position, feeling out the speed of the game, learning from making errors, learning from getting things right. He's one. Harry Schoenberg in the midfield, takes his game to another level. He's still got a lot more to go, and he knows that. But 12 months of time under his belt. I can't tell you how many games that is exactly off the top of my head this year, but it's games and it's time. Jordan Butts at fullback, to step up when we didn't have our experienced fullback to go to in Tales, for Butts to step up and play all year like he did and rarely get beaten. It's a great sign for us. Riley Thilthorpe, with 1 season now under his belt, or just under that, he'll continue to get better. And so another 12 months for Riley, we're going to see the same growth that we've seen from Schoenberg and Jones. McPherson, again, I could keep going through because our entire group are 20 to 21 years old. That's the most pleasing part of where we're heading. That's the most pleasing part. That's the foundation you talk about, or as you mentioned, the DNA.
Matthew, can I get your assessment so I can understand it from the inside as to what is happening with Adelaide's list management?
Well, I think I just talked through exactly where we're at the moment. I talk about those players. These are players that we've picked up over the last 3 to 4 years, 5 years, and we're starting to see that the fruit now. We're starting to see these guys with more time under their belt and experience playing at the highest level. That they were strong selections in the draft. Now, sometimes some take longer than others. We saw Riley in game 1, Riley Thilthorpe come out in game 1 and perform straight off the bat. Well, that's often what you get from a top 5 pick, or in Riley's case, one of the first picks in the draft. He'll continue to develop and work through that over the coming years, and there's parts of his game. He gets one of the best defenders every week that we'll continue to work on with him, and he'll improve. But if you talk about list management, sometimes it's not as clear cut as what you think in the first 12 to 24 months of a player arriving at a football club. There's things you're working through that aren't only about the individual, they're about setting the culture of the football club. What is expected from you as a role in a football side? Now, as a new coach coming in, we had all 44, 45 of our players that were learning that last year. So 12 months of that into this season, we saw, and one example for me is Paul Seedsman. Paul's played, a lot more football than most of our group. Now, it took Paul 12 months to get an understanding of what I would like our culture, our DNA to look like. And to his credit, he was outstanding this season. He's had such a strong year. He's bought into that. He's now become one of the best leaders at the football club.
So to those who are seeing you remove a fair bit of experience, can you give them a greater understanding of why you're confident you can move forward when you're pretty well whacking out a fair chunk of what has been the Adelaide Footy Club?
Yeah, I think it's about growth. I think it's about opportunity. We make changes, as every club does. You make changes over time. We have a number of players that are coming to a period in their careers at the same time. DMAC makes the decision this year that it's the right time for him to call it. We would love to have seen DMAC possibly for another year. We felt like maybe he could have, but 100% agree with the call he's made, because it's a call that he sees this is the right time. He sees the group that's coming through, and he makes a decision around what he thinks would be better for the football club, along with a number of other factors in his life as well as his football. So it's not necessarily that we're looking to move experience on. We want to keep a balance with that. There's always a balance of going too young. We definitely don't want to go down that path. And at the moment, that's what we're working through from a list management point of view. We're looking through what time will do to help us improve quickly. We want to develop our group fast. We want to get back to competing for finals football. That's our goal. If you look at this season, we improved on last year. We were more consistent than we were last year. We found a game plan. We found a brand that we have complete clarity in what that looks like now as a full squad. We've got a lot of younger guys that are still learning how to perform that week in, week out, but we're confident we're heading in the right direction. We'll continue to look at the balance of our experience, and some of that comes up in acquisition and trade. Some of that comes up with the draft, where we have no choice but to add the younger players throughout that draft. And there's some super talent coming through, which we look forward to adding to our group.
Can you push into finals contention as early as next year?
Yeah, that's the danger question. That we'd like every side, we would love to play and compete in finals. That's what we're trying to get to. That's why we're laying a foundation at the moment that we hope strong enough to hold up, not just for 1 year where we're trying to dribble our way into a final series and then be knocked out straight away. We're looking at sustained success. We're looking at a group that can perform week in, week out, and fight out for finals, year after year. So we'd love to think we fast track that development, and we see the growth, throughout this off season and pre-season. We see, a young player like Scholl come back, and he's stronger and faster and has added to his game over the off season, and it puts us in a position to fight for finals. But that's time. That's just a matter of time, and I can't give you exactly that timeline. We've seen in the past it takes all clubs a different amount of time. But where we are at the moment, we're building a really strong group of people, not just players, staff and players. And I'm confident that we will challenge sooner rather than later.
You've moved from pick 2 to pick 4 with this win. Some Crows fans will be dismayed at that. I mean, what do you say to supporters who might feel that way?
Oh, look, there's so much talent in the draft. We will find a good player in the draft, no matter where it is, at 2, 4, 5, 6. We're here to build a long-term culture. We're here to build long-term sustained success. As I said, this is not about playing for a draft pick to get 2 picks higher. If you go back over the history of the draft, you'll see that players, it's not necessarily that you get the best player at pick 2 or a better player than you do at pick 4. So we came out today, as we have all year, to win the game of football. And I'm really pleased to see the way the boys performed, not just that we got the win, that we played a style of football that we came off at the end, and we were really proud of what they put out there.
Matthew, can I just follow up on that, people rather than just players? If you were to be tempted in the trade period, what sort of person do you want rather than what sort of player do you want?
You're talking from a player point of view, though, as in the
Oh, yeah, well, that's
person?
the only person, but you're only going to trade in players, aren't you?
Yeah, no, we've...
You want at the trade table.
When you talk about character, we talk a lot about at Team First. We talk a lot about prioritising others. That's really our mantra. It's what we're about. It's what you saw that in the last 15 minutes of the game today. You saw the reward for the team off the back of them playing for each other. And, we had footy moments where the footy got shine on a team, and 3 of our players were able to, 2 players who are finishing up with the football club are able to get in front of goal and knock one through. And we see players run from every angle. And then we see a guy debuting. That's a team playing for each other. That is, thinking about someone before yourself. Well, that's the sort of character we're looking to bring in. We're looking to add to our group and become one of the strongest teams in the competition. I have watched Richmond over the last 4 or 5 years and envied what they've had. And I believe that they've done that as good as any in the last 4 or 5 years. They've had a group of players who play for each other. And, they often say this, that, rather than having a group full of, a team full of talent, I'll take the team that are playing for each other.
Matthew, can I just check the process? You're probably sick of answering this one, but the Taylor Walker, the path forward with Taylor. Obviously, you'll have exit meetings this week. Will you meet with Taylor this week, or how is that going to flow?
That'll continue. It's a really complex situation for us to work through. I've met with Taylor. I've been able to sit down with him, and we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to talk through, what's best. How do we look after our people? How do we look after Taylor? How do we, hopefully at some point integrate Taylor back into our football, our group, our squad. He's met with our playing group as well. And we're making some really good ground in that space. That's where that sits at the moment.
Yeah, is there no doubt in your mind that he will play on next year, or?
Again, these are things that we'll work through. I can't comment for Taylor and where he sits at the moment. I've sat down with him and we've spoken through a number of different scenarios and how he's going. And look, at this point in time, we'll continue to work through that, but it's not something I can give you a definitive answer on at the moment.
I'll give you a simpler one, Matthew.
That'd be nice.
The premiership side, please.
I thought you might ask that.
Well, I haven't disappointed them.
The most pleasing thing about where the game's at the moment, it's a really hard one to pick. I mean, we played a number of those sides that are sitting up there that are obviously going to fight it out over the last few weeks, and it'll be who hits their straps at the right time. The competition's so even. It's so pleasing to see that so many teams are in the fight this year. To watch yesterday's games, to watch it come down to the final kick, to see who finishes minor premiers was it was so good to watch. I can't give you one. I have a huge amount of respect for Melbourne and what they've been able to do. I think they're hitting their straps at the right time. I also have a little soft spot for a Sydney side, but we'll see how that plays out.
Don't you have a soft spot for Port anymore, or
anymore?
Spot for Port anymore?
I heard what you said. No, not quite.
Check which one of the Sydney sides as well now then, Matthew.
Well, yeah, that is one. When I said that, I thought, yeah, you won't be able to work that out. We'll just leave it as that.
All right.
Matty, a few bitter pills for Crows supporters to swallow sort of through the middle part of the year. What's your message, I guess, as you sign off to the fans?
Oh, look, I would love to, just thank our fans for, again, it's been such a challenging season for everyone. Not just in footy, on and off the field, away from football. So I want to thank our members and supporters for the support they've shown us. Whenever we were able to get a crowd out here at Adelaide Oval, they've come out, they've supported, they've been loud. It hasn't been, I guess, a really consistent year of complete games where we've been able to put wins on the board for them, but they've stuck by us, and I really appreciate what they've done for us. And again, the message I'd give them is it's just time. Just, stick with us as you have done. You've seen what can happen in 12 months' time. I've spoken about some of the players that are coming through, and that's only, that's not going through our entire list. And I know they've been proud of what the boys have put out at times. You know, we're going to look to do that a lot more consistent for them next year.